يا طالب العلم قم لا تنم فإن الزمان انقضى يا طالب العلم قم لا تنم فإن الزمان.
بسم الله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Welcome to a new series called Living Islam. We'll be discussing the practical issues of being Muslim in the UK, and we'll be interviewing new Muslim, old Muslims about their experience about living Islam. So today we have with us Ismail Hassan, mashallah. How long have you been Muslim now?
I'd say maybe.
You forgot it's been
Time
that long.
flies, you know.
You forgot.
Time flies. Okay, so my son is 18, so I'd say about 16, 17 years.
Okay. How did you become Muslim? Make it concise if you can.
Okay, in a nutshell, I've always believed in one God.
Okay, come from a Christian background?
Yeah, Christian background. So in a nutshell,
Yes.
I was just lost.
Okay.
There was a point in my life where I was experiencing a lot of death around me, family members, close friends, and
did Islam come to you, or did you look for Islam?
It was a bit of both.
Okay.
It was a bit of both, because I've always known about Islam growing up because of my father being Muslim.
Okay.
He's a Nigerian Muslim, married to my mum. He's a Christian, but my father wasn't the best of practicing Muslims.
Okay.
So I didn't really see Islam in the household like that.
There was no push for you to be practicing?
No. So he was more than happy for me to go to church.
Okay.
With my mum, pulling the sheets off of me, telling me it's time to go to church on a Sunday. Whereas I might have visited the masjid once or twice in Nigeria, never in the UK. So from that perspective, we knew about, Ramadan, things like that.
Yes.
But at the same time, he'll be the same one celebrating Christmas and, having a brandy and things like that.
That's a strange one.
So it wasn't, I saw more Christianity than I saw Islam in the household.
Yeah.
And because my mum's family is a very big family.
Yes.
My cousins and aunties, and there's 10 of them, and my mum being the oldest one. So
your mum's side is Christian?
My mum's side is Christian. Every single one of
them.
Not
mixed?
Not mixed. On my mum's side, everybody's Christian on that side. And as I said, as my father, who's my stepfather, but he grew me from when I was young, so I see him as my father.
Yes.
And that side of the family, I didn't really get to see a lot of that side of the family. A lot of them were back in Nigeria, and looking back now, a lot of them who came from Nigeria, they actually converted to Christianity. A lot on that
That's
side.
what I was going to say. I think, from my experience at the Da'wah table, if someone comes and say to me, "Oh, I've got half Christian, half Muslim," most of the time, "Are you from Nigeria?"
Yeah.
I don't know if you realize that.
No,
it's
a lot.
kind of a common thing in Nigeria.
Yeah, it is very common.
One person Christian, the other person Muslim or something, they mix.
Okay.
But what I noticed is that in Nigeria, they remain Muslim.
Yes.
But when they come over to the UK, they turn to Christianity. But whilst they were in Nigeria, they
would stay Muslim strong.
Muslim strong. Again, not necessarily the best of practicing.
Yes.
But they, were Muslim.
Okay,
So,
interesting. Very interesting.
so
We'll have to
yeah.
look into that later.
Experienced a lot of death, and I just knew I needed to fix up. Basically, I needed to change my life. I needed to, turn to God, and that's when I kind of went back to the drawing board. And I think I've mentioned this many times. I think the key person in my life at that time is my wife's brother, Ayub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ayub. He's the one who kind of gave me the dawah and gave me some books and CDs and so forth to listen to, and I think once I was really exposed to the true Islam, it was like a done deal, basically.
Easy to accept.
So it wasn't something that becoming a Muslim, I changed my ways straight away. It was a process, but
You know when people take the Shahada, some people kind of think, well, I'm so sinful, how can I change? How did you deal with it? How did you deal with the pressure of what's my mum going to say, what people going to say around me? How did you deal with that?
For me, that was very easy because, as I said, growing up, my father he's a Muslim.
Okay.
So it wasn't something to be taboo from that angle.
Yes. Even from your mum's side?
Even from my mum's side, yeah. Even from my mum's side, it wasn't an issue because my mum's married to a Muslim. So
yes.
What could anybody say in that sense? So it wasn't an issue. My sister as well, when she got married, she was a Christian, but she got married to a Muslim as well.
Yes.
So it in Nigeria, and I think Ghana as well is like that, the Christians and the Muslims, they get on very well. They don't really have issues with each other. As you said, the intermixing of the faiths, getting married, the Muslim men marrying the Christian women. And so for me, it really wasn't an issue amongst my family.
Christian men marrying Muslim women?
No. I didn't really see that personally.
I even met, she's come from a Muslim family, half Christian, half Muslim. She's Christian, but she's been to Hajj.
Oh, is it?
Wow.
I hear stories in Nigeria, it's something special, mashallah.
Yeah.
The way and I think because I don't think they understand, all of them, they don't understand religion.
Yes.
So they think, I got this guy at work, I'm not sure if he's Nigerian, but one day he wears kufi, Ramadan, next, one day I saw him with cross.
Yes.
He said, "No, we are okay.
We're okay. We can mix it.
We can mix, yeah.
So people don't have obviously understanding the religion.
Yes,
but because maybe they grow up like that and seeing everyone mixing, going church, going mosque. So they say, I think it's okay. Let's just do that.
Wow. Yeah. So one of the stereotypical things about Islam is so strict. How did you find practicing the religion? Obviously, the 5 pillars. Did you find it difficult? Did you find it too much? Did you rush into it? How did you find embracing Islam and living Islam as a Muslim? Was it difficult? Was it too much to bear? Or it was...
Yeah, so as I said, the bracing side of things, for me, it was
accepting,
easy.
Yes.
Yeah, the accepting was easy. The living Islam, yes, I did find a bit difficult at the beginning. There were
what difficulties?
There were some things that were easy. There were some things that was hard. So, for an example, Salah, for me, easy.
What about your work environment? Because people are going to say, well, how can I pray? I've got to stop 5 times. So I think things like that I was a bit shy in terms of, maybe within because I think at that time I was going to uni when I was doing my qualifications in mental health. Yes.
So I think around those times, you shy away a little bit about having to go and pray.
Yes.
Having to explain about going to pray and things like that.
Yeah.
And where you might, that now, I'll go and pray anywhere and I don't care.
It's quite amazing because you think people are going to object.
Yeah.
But I think they are too shy to object. Who's going to say you can't pray? Except someone who's a hater.
Exactly. And especially in a professional setting, you don't realise that, there are certain policies and things that are put in place where it's my right for me to go and pray and so forth.
Yes.
So from that angle, it wasn't so hard. And again, in that industry where I was doing my education and work and so forth, a lot of the people who are working there are, African, Caribbean, so people who are religious backgrounds.
Yes.
So again, they understood the concept of me going to pray and stuff like that. So it made it a bit easier.
Yeah.
But
I can see that being a major. I remember myself. I used to work in some warehouse ages ago. Yeah. I would come out, run out the warehouse, go pray in the alley. You want people to see you pray.
Yeah.
But after a while, people see you. You just go and pray in the warehouse. You get over it. So.
Maybe a long time ago, but especially now.
Yes.
Like everywhere you go, they have a little. They don't call it masjid, but they call it
faith room.
Interfaith room or a quiet place.
But obviously, only Muslims use it.
Yeah. Majority.
Some Christians do use it very rarely.
They call it interfaith.
Yeah. So, but fundamentally, I think society has accepted and they know Muslims need to pray. It's not like, what do you mean you need to pray? I think it's something which is really accepted, so people shouldn't be shy, to, especially for new Muslims, to start to pray.
But it's interesting as well, like what he said, mashallah. From my experience, like people who become Muslim, even Muslims, the most difficult part always is the salah.
Yes.
So mashallah, you found it easy, that the salah was easy.
Yeah. No matter what I was doing, no matter what sins I was bad habits or what I was doing, the salah was something that was paramount. And that was something I can honestly say, this is something that I would always do. Whether I was doing it correctly or with the right khushu' but performing the salah, to pray 5 times a day was something that, you know, it was something that I held dear to my heart. So that part I found quite easy. But certain bad habits that I had, they might have been a bit difficult and took time.
The mashallah, the advantage I think as well, you had people around you, the right manhaj and the right aqeedah as well.
No.
So it was quite easy to learn the correct way how to do things.
No, it was.
I mean, that's also like a stumbling block is issue of sins and people thinking, I'm too sinful to become Muslim. I've got to wait until I give up this, give up that. Wait till how can we get the message across to say that, well, you will change, but first thing is to take that step and then gradually change yourself rather than waiting to be this perfect human being, which we don't become perfect human beings anyway.
Exactly. And that's the key, to explain to people that we will never be perfect.
Yes.
And that Allah knows that we will never be perfect. And that one of the most beautiful things about Islam is that Allah wants us to be able to repent, to ask for forgiveness, you know. And that if we were a people who didn't sin at all, Allah will wipe us off the face of the earth and create another people who would sin simply because of you know, having that ability to turn back to Him. So this is something that is very important to, you know, always explain to people, that it's not about perfection. It's just about, you know, trying your best.
Your best.
And that's it, you know, try your best. Be sincere, try your best. Turn to Allah when you fall, you know, you get back up. And this is the main thing. You know, that was never an issue for me about wanting to perfect this, or let me finish reading the Quran, or let me stop doing this, let me stop doing that before I accept Islam. Because again, I already had a basic kind of understanding about it. And you know, this was key.
I think there is a perception about the strictness of Islam. Obviously, when people mention the word Sharia, they think, oh my days, Islam is so rigid. Like, how would you describe the kind of balance between having that fear of God, obviously, and obviously the hope for His mercy and forgiveness? I think some people think, okay, well, from the Christian side, God is most merciful, you know, like, but also we have to have the balance of having some fear of God. How would you live in Islam for how long now? How do you think you live in that balance now?
I think it's just the understanding that, you know, as much as we talk about Allah being the most merciful, which indeed He is, we also have to understand about the punishment as well, isn't it? There's a punishment and there's the reward. And, you know, one of the key things I always remember is about trying to connect the hearts to the afterlife, to the reward and the punishment. That way, if you can connect your hearts to that, then for me, I feel like it becomes a bit more easier to, you know, abstain from what you need to abstain with, and, you know, doing the good that you can do, because ultimately you're trying to attain Jannah. But not only that, also in this life as well, you know, try to remember that in this life as well, you can still receive the punishment in this life as well.
Sins have effect.
Sins have effect.
On a daily basis.
Exactly. So it's very important for you to acknowledge that you can also receive the reward as well as the punishment in this life as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just...
Definitely.
You know,
because I think even sometimes Muslims that have been Muslim for years, or they're born Muslim, despair and give up. Like, whatever their sins they're doing, they say, oh, forget this Islam thing, I can't do it. And they just turn their back because they can't uphold to something which you're a human and you're going to fall. You have to just get up. You can never despair in Islam. You can't. And that's why I feel some people think, oh, you know, I don't pray, I do this, I do that. But that doesn't mean you have to turn away from your religion totally. It means you have to get back up, as you said, keep getting back up. You know.
It's true.
I mean, this concept as well about things being strict,
Yes. I think that's the perception people have.
That's the perception that people have. But then at the same time, there is elements of truth to it.
Yes.
Especially a person who is used to living a life which is contrary to what Islam teaches. So for the person who does drink, who does smoke, who does go out, who does have girlfriends, and then who gambles and takes out loans and do all of it, because society tells you that these things are normal.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who has been doing this for 10 years,
all
your life,
yes,
and then Islam comes and says that all of these things is prohibited, then
they're gonna
of course you're going to say to yourself, oh, this religion is, it's a bit strict. But again, look at our parents who may have been strict with us. Why were they strict? For our own benefit. So it's there to help us. We want to come back at 12 o'clock and our parents are saying, no, you've got to be back at 9, and you're thinking, why are you being so strict? It's for our own benefit. So sometimes I don't want to sort of shy away from the fact that yes, the religion does come across as it being strict, and to a certain degree, yes, it is in regards to the life you were living before. But it's for our own benefit. It's for our own benefit. And then when you embrace it, it doesn't seem like, for me, it doesn't seem strict at all now. It doesn't seem strict at all whatsoever. Normal. It's just normal now. So I just sort of
taking it step by step as well. I think it's important, even though like someone's becoming a Muslim or is a new Muslim, that it need to be explained to them that Islam is it's a journey.
Yes. It's not a sprint.
One day and that's it. It's like until you die, you're going to practice Islam. So you have to take it step by step. Do what you can slowly. Like a lot of people that they want to take, as you said, like they want to take the shahada.
What about this? What about that?
I'm doing this now. I'm doing that. Let me stop that, and then I will become a Muslim. But I always say to them, like, even if you become a Muslim, you're not going to be perfect. Even if you leave what you're doing now, doesn't mean after you become Muslim, you're not going to stop doing sin. There's no Muslim who can say, I don't sin, I'm doing everything perfect.
I think it's trying to get across to people that it's about trying. It's about sincerely trying, making that step towards Allah. Then Allah will make it easy for you. But don't be afraid to make that step. People are,
like the guy who took the Rasta guy who took Shahada. We were talking, and you were saying that, like, one of the things that I think put him off a little bit is that they said to him, like, when you become Muslim, you have to cut
your locks off. Yes.
So that kind of like. Sometimes when you give da'wah, you can, give the wrong information. And I was saying to him, like, don't worry about it.
I mean, there's another thing that comes to my mind is cultural differences. Like if you become Muslim, you have to become Arab, or you have to embrace a whole new culture. You got to throw away everything that you know. I think people also think like, I don't want to throw away. Obviously, if it's haram, you got to throw it away.
Of course.
As for like your general culture, Islam didn't come to change your culture. So
people have to take it step. Even Muslims. Even if you're Muslim, sometimes maybe you're sinning. Shaitan comes and tells you, what, you're a bad person. What's the point now?
God's not going to forgive you.
What's the point? You're just being hypocrite and Shaitan takes you step by step, and then you end up, okay, let me stop praying. And then you start then you end up doing silly stuff.
And it reminds me as well, just going back as well, about people who delay taking the shahada because of feeling they're still doing things that they'd like to change. Again, one of the key things, the message that I try to give to people is, this is just temporary. This life is temporary. And our main aim is Jannah. That's our main aim. So the person has to understand that, number one, we all know we're going to die. No matter what religion you are, whether you're an atheist, it doesn't matter. We all know this is something we can all have in common, that we know every soul shall taste death. We're going to die. But we don't know when. So for me, it's very key to explain to the person that it's very important that when you die upon Islam. So you can accept, take your shahada, believe in Allah and His messenger, And then, you know, you could still be doing the bad things that you're doing, but you're trying your best.
Yeah.
And then, but when you pass away, even if you were still doing those things, the main thing is that you passed away as a Muslim, as a believer. This is the main thing, because even if you may go to the hellfire in order to cleanse the sins and, you know, purification and so forth, eventually you go to Jannah. You know, you go to, and who says that you even go to Jahannam? Who says that? That's with Allah. Yeah. So you may have done this piece of charity, or you might have done this good deed here, where Allah, through His mercy, decides to say, you know, you'll go straight to Jannah. Yeah. So again, it's very important to get that message to people. And then a lot of the time when I explain that, people are like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, or I didn't see it like that.
I think the importance of taking the Shahada, bearing witness sincerely, none has a right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger, testifying to that, and weighing that up between your sins. You have to take the Shahada. You have to. Forget about your sins, take your Shahada and deal with whatever you've got to deal with afterwards.
Exactly. And that's where Islam is there to make you a better person. Islam is not there when you become a better, like you're 100% good and then Islam, you accept Islam. No, it's when you become a Muslim, Islam is there to make your life better in every angle.
Exactly.
You know, like you're the nurse now, like mental health. Not everyone in the street comes to you. People who have problems with certain situation, they come to you because they can get help from you. So the same way, we're only going to need Islam. When you become a Muslim, that's why I say to people, like, you don't go to the doctor when you're well, you don't have no problem. You understand? You go to the doctor because you're sick. So we're all sick. We need Islam. When you become a Muslim, Islam will help you to improve whatever problems you have. There are people, alcoholics, they used to tell drugs, music, whatever. When you become Muslim, you seek knowledge, you're under the right people. When you seek knowledge, you start seeing what's good and what's bad. Automatically, you realize you stop.
I think obviously Islam is you must say a spiritual healing. How does that factor into your role in the area of mental health? That
was going to ask
your issue of how you work in the area of mental health. How can Islam help, or how can you see where Islam can better society in dealing with mental health?
Sometimes it's really frustrating because, you know, when it comes to religion within the workplace, it's very limited. You know, there's certain policies in place where you can't really give dawah like that.
Yes, I get you.
And sometimes I sit in these meetings that they have, especially where I was a manager. So at the moment I'm back on the ground now, working with patients sort of face to face, whereas maybe for the past nearly 2 years I was in management. So I find myself in meetings where they're talking about budgeting and new ideas and stuff like that. And sometimes it can just be so frustrating because these ideas that you're coming with, it's not going to do anything. You might see some results for a little bit and then it's just going to go back to, you know, the same situation again. And I want to tell them that Islam is the answer, guys. I'm telling you that Islam is the answer. But
obviously, from a professional point of view, you can't be giving dawah to your patients. But my point is that, and you might see a patient that come in and he's frustrated with life. He might have become bankrupt, he's been divorced, and he can't take it. How would Islam remedy his situation from a spiritual point of view? How would a Muslim should contextualize whatever has happened to him?
I mean, to be fair, when it comes to giving dawah, as I said, it is limited. So to a certain degree, I can give dawah, especially if they initiate it. So sometimes what I tend to do is I might talk about myself as a way to sort of trigger them into talking about Islam. Because if I'm able to talk about myself and then they realize, okay, you're a Muslim and okay, you used to be like this before and X, Y, and Z, and then they start to ask me about Islam. Then because I can do that. If they ask, then I can now start talking about Islam and so forth, so forth. So I do have to be a bit tactful in terms of how I'm able to utilize Islam in helping people within that field.
Yes.
But it is difficult. It's only more easier when I'm dealing with Muslims, because you'll be surprised how many Muslims are in the mental health. Yeah, there's a lot of Muslims, unfortunately.
What from your experience, what's the main reason you've seen, like
The main reason
for Muslims coming,
two main things, and it might sound a bit not contradictory, but basically two things. Number one is you find that they're not practicing. The Muslims, you find that they're not praying and so forth.
Yes.
And number two, I suppose, which kind of overlaps with not practicing, is a lot of them are taking drugs.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, if someone was practicing, then they shouldn't really be taking drugs. Exactly. If you get what I mean. But ultimately, those are the two things that I find with a lot of the Muslims who are in, in the mental health institutions, is that they're not practicing the way they should be, and it's accompanied with drugs. The third thing I would say is trauma.
Okay.
Yeah, it's trauma. And sometimes it's the trauma that leads to them to the drugs, which then leads them to not practicing.
Yes.
So those are the sort of the three things that I've noticed within the Muslims.
I always say to people, I don't know if it's correct, but if you look at Qadr, if you believe in Qadr properly, it helps you with your mental health a lot.
100%.
Yes, yeah.
100%.
I mean, Islamically, if you believe everything happens, everything is written for you before even it existed, that it was written what you're going to do, what's going to happen.
Yes.
And if you actually believe that, we say Qaddar Allah ma shafa'a, whatever happens, it was written.
Yeah.
For me, I look at it like that is the best mental health treatment, because if you believe that something happened to you today, maybe your loved one, someone just passed away and he was not expecting, he was not sick, nothing just happened like that.
Yes.
So if you have a strong belief in Qadr, that can just help you. I mean, you're more expert. These things that does not happen overnight, as you said.
It can be
gradually, isn't it?
Pressure.
It starts with something.
As in the person who becomes unwell?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a gradual.
Most time it's gradual.
Most of the time, I think maybe it's from something happened in their life or
trauma.
something.
Trauma. As I said, trauma.
So if you actually believe you have strong belief in Qadr, subhanAllah, that it can help you in your life a lot.
And not even just the Qadr, but also knowing that, you're blessed, that Allah has blessed you in a way that you cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
As you know, we cannot count the favors that Allah has done for us.
Yeah.
So if you can have that mindset of, as you said, understand that this is the qadr of Allah, but also knowing that, you cannot count the blessings that Allah has blessed you with.
Yes.
These two things is what helps us to keep us sane.
To deal with trials and tribulations.
To give us sakeen, all of these things is what helps us. And, it's important that I do justice, is that statistically anyway, as Muslims, we are the ones who are the least depressed and, the least who are committing suicides and the least who are alcoholics and the least who are on drugs in general.
Yes.
Yeah, but it still hurts my heart to see, a Muslim within the institution. It's very, very heartbreaking. And when I sit down and I talk with them, I don't hesitate to talk about Islam because they're a Muslim. So it's easier. I won't get into trouble or anything like that because they're Muslim, and I'm able to talk to them about their salah, what's happened with their salah, how come they've turned away. 99.9% of the time they've abandoned the salah. They've abandoned the salah. So, and I always say to them, no matter what sins you're doing, establish the salah. Because it could be that one salah that you do that brings you back. That you just start crying to Allah, and then you say to yourself, I'm going to leave the drink alone, I'm going to leave this particular drug alone, or but once you leave the salah,
how do you then contextualize life? How do you have any spiritual release if you're not praying? If you're not seeking Allah's help.
The salah is going to help you. He's there to help you to. One of the Mashaykh a long time ago, he was telling us a story. that this guy, he was going to make zina. He had appointment to make zina and stuff. But he was, as you said, he was praying.
Yes.
So he said, let me pray before I go.
Yes.
When he prayed and finished his prayer, he said, you know what, I'm not going to
I am
do
not
this.
going. Yeah.
So he was trying to explain this ayah to us. So as you said, like, I think sometimes about like the environment as well, because you go to Africa sometimes, the environment here doesn't help as well. Like everything's in front of you. You want alcohol, all you have to do is step out the house and the shop is there. You want drug,
it's
you
there.
step out your house and
It's all at your doorstep.
This is another problem. What do you think that's
100%. Your
environment?
environment. Yeah, 100%.
As you know, you see in Africa, you don't find these things. If you want these things, you have to go like...
You have to go searching for it. You can't just step outside your door. You step outside your door, it's a masjid. And you hear the adhan. You know, I'm not saying that you don't find some of these issues within these African countries, but, you know, for an example, you know, I came back from Gambia, very recent. I left my son there.
Yes.
I had the option of bringing him with me because I'm only here temporarily. It was holidays, school holidays and stuff like that. So I had the option to bring him. But, you know, I saw the impact this country was having on him.
Okay.
The society, the environment.
How old is he, your son?
He's 13.
Okay.
He's 13.
Teens.
So he's at that pinnacle age, you know.
Difficult.
And prior to us going to Gambia, I could see what was happening with, you know, his behaviour and deep down, you know, he's a good boy. He comes from a good home.
Yes.
You know, both parents are together. As you know, I'm a mental health nurse. His mum works in a nursery, you know. So we come from a good home, alhamdulillah. But society sometimes can just take away all of that good work that you're trying to do as a parent. So, you know, and the thing is, we went to Gambia, and for a few weeks, about a month or two, he was there. Then he had to come back, which he came back. And the difference between when he was in Gambia just for, you know, 2 months, then he came back, we were back for like maybe 5 weeks. I saw the difference already, the impact it was having. So when we went back to Gambia, and it was time for me to come back to the UK to sort out 1 or 2 things, I said, no, he's going to stay. Because I can see already how the environment of where he is, he always wants to wear a thobe now. Always wants to buy kufi. First one to say, Dad, let's go to the masjid. You know, his friends that he has now, the majority of them are, you know, they've memorized the Quran. Hafiz of Quran, which is inspiring him. He wants to be Hafiz of Quran. You know, we pray in the masjid, he comes out, he says, Dad, his recitation is beautiful. I want to, you know, so I just want to keep him on that path and not kind of disturb it. So
unfortunately, I think peer pressure.
What you were saying earlier on when you started, like Islam is difficult and stuff. So, sometimes it looks difficult because of the environment.
Because of the environment, yes.
Because yesterday I was thinking about, like, most of the sisters, maybe when they become Muslim, they find it difficult, the hijab example. I was thinking, like, because you're in the environment, like, everything is no hijab, nothing.
Not many people.
If you were to go like Saudi, and you were to put hijab, you won't feel you'll fit in. Normal. You just fit right in. Because you're just part of it. No one's going to look at you while you're wearing hijab or something. And you won't be difficult. You won't feel like it's difficult, like if you were to wear it here. So sometimes we think Islam is difficult because of the environment. Makes it difficult. And the environment, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ about the man who killed 99 people.
He had to move. He had to go.
And what did they advise him? The sin that he was committing, it's not mainly because of, but it's the environment. And the advice was given to him was, go to such and such place because the people are good there. So environment
is key.
I think especially in the UK, that for those who can't go to Africa, if you do become Muslim, you have to look to who your friends are, embrace the Muslim community, get involved with sisters and brothers, so it makes practicing easier in an environment where everyone's praying, everyone's wearing thobe, everyone's wearing hijab. That way, you know, you're not living a contradictory life. You know,
as the Prophet ﷺ said, isn't it, that you should one should be careful of the friends he chooses, because
Yeah.
you're upon your friends'
Of course.
religion,
The deen of your friends,
their
yes,
deen,
your
exactly.
religion.
So it's very, very, very key. But it is difficult being here because, as you said, this country, it just promotes everything that we're trying to stay away from.
Yes.
You know, literally, whether it be the music, the gambling, the sexual immorality, you know, drugs, drinking, the whole lot, you know, interest. They promote all of these things, you know, and this is what is destroying. And sometimes I speak about it with colleagues, you know, who are somewhat religious, you know, even my Christian colleagues.
Yes.
We're on the same page in that
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
perspective, that what they're pumping into our children especially, this is the reason why mental health is just increasing, and it's not going to decline unless
Yeah.
they embrace Islam.
Even before Hijrah was maybe just Muslims. Now, even non-Muslims are talking about making Hijrah, like you know, they live in because they realize, you know, like, the children have been affected, and they can't control their children. You know, to a certain extent, in Africa at least, there's certain way you can control your kids.
Yes.
Here, like, you're scared of your children. They're not scared of you. The environment we live in is like you are actually scared of your children. They could lie on you. They could call social work. They'll call the police. That's a reality.
Yeah.
So people can't really teach your children. You can't teach children like a lot of things because the environment is so difficult.
Even down to the schools now.
Yeah.
And this is where, when you really think about it, this is where our children are the majority of the time. Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
from 9 till 4 or from 8 till 3, you know, they're in that school, you know, and if they're not teaching them morals and principles, and then it's, you know, it makes it more difficult. And unfortunately, this is what the school are teaching our children.
Yeah.
Because by the time they come back, you know,
They're
they
tired.
finish work, they're
Yeah.
tired, they have something to eat, maybe a little bit of homework, and then it's time for bed. Well,
Yeah.
what time are we really having to engage with our
With
children,
our kids.
Well, I
other than
think as
the
well,
weekend?
I mean, that comes to obviously sometimes not everyone can live. Sometimes certain people we have to be here.
Yeah,
We are
some
stuck
people,
here.
some people
course.
are being-
Even though I think everyone wants to leave, but the reality is,
Not everyone can.
yeah, everyone.
Yeah.
So as a Muslims, while we're here, I think we sort of like complaining as well. We should do something to improve.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
for our
100%.
children, something for our children, having some
100%.
Building
kind
community.
of program, some kind of
100%.
activities and things that we could at least, while we're here, do something. What do you think?
100%. And again, this is what the frustrating thing is, because as you said, we'll complain, but then we're not willing to do anything about it.
Roll up sleeves.
To roll up our sleeves and say, look, you know, even if it's down to nurseries and schools and
Yes.
you know, youth centres, and all of these things is what, you know, we need to do in order to, you know,
Preserve our deen.
preserve our deen,
Ourselves and our children.
and our children, especially the children.
Yeah.
You know, especially the children.
Yeah.
Not saying that, you know, our wives, you know, our sisters and our brothers who are, you know, adults don't need something for them as well, but especially the children, because, you know, they are the future, from that
Excellent.
sense.
Well, from your experience, what's the most important things that we need to have in our community
In order
that
to
you
hold,
see that's
to us
needed to,
hold
like-
fast to this deen.
that we're not doing? Something that we need to.
That's a hard question, you know. No, seriously, it's a hard question, because I can think of so many things, and to say which one is the top of the list is very difficult, because I feel like whatever I say, all of them are like on the top of the list.
Yes.
So for an example, family,
Yes.
you know, is key.
Yeah.
And, you know, things like, you know, the divorces that may be happening within our community sometimes is a bit high. You know, what are we doing?
The reason I'm asking is because inside Islam, that's what we want, to get information from the community.
Okay.
So that what can we do for the community? Instead of just like us, what we think, but listening to the community.
Okay.
What do they think, like, we need in the community? That's the reason I asked you the question, just to clarify. Yeah.
Okay, now, yeah, I mean, family is key. Being able for the family to be supported,
yes.
educated.
Yes.
You know, but then, you know, off of that now, what is it that's out there for the children?
Yes.
You know, again, are there any sort of Muslim youth centres where children can feel comfortable to go to these youth centres and be able to play and at the same time get the education that they need in regards to Islam and so forth?
Yeah.
You know, things like schools, nurseries for our young ones to go to. And again, Islam is being implemented.
Well, those are the main key issues.
Those are the main
Save the
things.
kids.
Family and,
Yes.
and the children.
Yes.
You know, I think that's what's really key in terms of if we can build something within our communities for the children, institutions for the children. I think that would be, you know, a game changer. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I think we're finished on that very good note. So inside Islam, we have to help set up institutions for our children. Obviously, there's a long list, but I think definitely a youth centre, youth organisation to help support the children is something which we should look into. Ismail, it's been a pleasure. Nice to see you, brother. For your advice. Abdul Hamid, we see you inshallah. Okay, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and inshallah we see you in the next podcast. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa
خلاص.